Howdy y'all, Christi here with Little Salty Homesteader. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here today with another weekly update. I'm out here a little early in the morning before it gets too awfully hot. So let's go see what we have going on. All right, as usual, we're starting things out over here in the tomato patch, or I guess there's no tomatoes currently in it, so we're gonna call it the pepper patch for now. So I have not harvested peppers. I don't think I've harvested them at all this week except for this plant here because I had a ton of ripe peppers. These are just little green chilies. They don't get very big, as you can see by this one getting ripe, but my husband really loves the flavor and the heat level, so I actually plan on saving seeds so that I can continue to grow them. If you watched my morning walkthrough the other day, there was a hornworm on here. He's gone now, so that's what's going on with these damaged branches, was just a jerk worm. So any ripe peppers that you see out here, it's just because I haven't been out here to harvest. Full disclosure, I had COVID last week, and then some sort of infection kind of developed in my lungs, possibly pneumonia, something, bronchitis, something. Anyway, so I've been recovering all week and last week from all the things. So the garden is a bit of a mess, and there's stuff that needs to be harvested. Hopefully I'll get to it today now that I'm finally on the mend. But let's take a look, see what's still going on out here. Oh, look here. We have a Carolina Reaper here that is ready. And I have to say, this is like the most successful Carolina Reaper plant I've ever had. Look at this. That is nuts. So later this afternoon, I'll come out and pick that ripe guy. Habanero, it has slowed down a little bit as far as production goes. I did harvest several, and I do see some new blooms happening, so we should get some more peppers on that soon. I thought I saw something else getting ripe over here. Oh yes, we have a second Reaper getting ripe. Arapaho Cayenne. This one had a hornworm on it a couple of weeks ago, so I think it might still be recovering, but there are some peppers on here. I've also harvested quite a few, and those are being turned into crushed red pepper to use on anything we like to have a little bit of heat on. We have Buena Mulata. I harvested some last week, maybe. I can't even remember, all my days kind of run together. That one is insect damage, probably grasshopper, but you can see we have some that are trying to get ripe here. They ripen in the most beautiful way, so there we go. I did plant some squash seeds in here. This one I believe is green zebra right there, right here, if you can see it. And then this one is partial eclipse, I'm pretty sure. It might be the other way around. I didn't exactly write it down when I did it. But for the most part, what I need to do with all of these beds is I need to start getting them amended for fall planting. That's going to kick off in August, where we really start seed starting and getting more seed sown and stuff. So I need to get lots of compost into all of these beds. You can see the soil levels are down pretty low, and ideally I'd like to get them up to this bolt here. So quite a bit of compost. I'll have to add it slowly over time into all the beds. Fertilizer, azomite I think is what the other amendment is called that I'm going to add in this year. Some blood meal, some bone meal, and then I've been saving up coffee grounds that I'm going to add in as well. So once I get all that on here, then I'll top it off with more straw. I'll let the straw break down into the soil, contribute to the rest of the soil's health. All right, moving on to this bed. This bed houses jalapenos at this end, and then serranos at that end. And we have some basil plants kind of growing throughout. There's a pretty good sized parsley down there. We have calendula in here, and then we have lemon thyme right here, and then one lonely marigold. I have some more started on the patio. I can move one in here as well. Almost 2 weeks ago, I fertilized with Fox Farms slow release granulated fertilizer, and Neptune's Harvest liquid fertilizer. I need to repeat that tomorrow, Saturday, so that I can kind of keep up on that bi-weekly rotation here. This plant is pumpkin spice jalapeno, and if you can see, it's got a ton of jalapenos growing on it, so that's cool. And then this small guy right here is orange spice, and there's a couple that need to be harvested, so that makes me pretty happy. And then we have lemon spice here, and I see a couple on this one that need to be harvested as well. So there's going to be quite a few like ripe peppers in this row especially. Then we move on. We have brown jalapeno here. It's got a few peppers on it, so that looks pretty good. Then we have Jedi here. Grasshoppers have damaged a couple. And then we have Pantera here. And then early jalapeno is what I think these two are. And then the remainder is serrano peppers. So you can see we have quite a few serranos that need to be harvested out of here. They're just getting super ripe, but that's fine. I can dehydrate them and use them as chiles de arbol, which are really great for like a taqueria style salsa, or make some sort of like fresh salsa with them. So they're definitely usable even at this ripe stage here. All right, moving on to this bed, and I do have to crouch a little bit because of the way the shade cloth is hung. This bed has cowpeas and eggplants, and then some wild and wayward dill. This is a tricolor sage. This is the longest I've kept one of these alive, so yay me. This is kind of, I don't want to say succulent, but it kind of acts in that same way because it doesn't require as much water as some of this other stuff, but it is super hot. So whenever I do water, I get this watered as well because I don't want it to dry out and die that way. So the cowpeas that are in here are a variety called Blue Goose, and they are a new to me variety. I haven't grown them before, but they look really interesting once they're shelled. I'll see if I can get a picture of the seed packet and put that here. But we have quite a few, and the blooms are really cute. They're really lovely, kind of lavender lilac color, probably closer to lilac. But we're starting to get quite a few peas out here. So as the pods on these start to dry out a little bit, this is still pretty green, I'll go ahead and I'll harvest it, and then I'll shell them onto a dehydrator tray. And I just put that tray on a heat mat that's set to like 78 degrees, and I let them kind of dry out that way. And then I just put them in a jar, and I will use them for New Year's. So this one has a few blooms on it. Really lovely. All right, take a look at the eggplant here for just a minute. So this one is Listada de Gandia, or however you pronounce that. Probably around time to harvest. These don't get super big. And then we have Thanos eggplant here. This one is also, yeah, that one's ready to harvest too. Another Thanos. This variety also does not get very large. Perfectly fine. I kind of like them small. They're easier to kind of handle that way, easier to store in the fridge. But these are doing really well. You can see lots of blooms, and I'll just use them to make eggplant pizza. All right, over here we really have a very full kind of garden situation happening. There are pink eye, purple hull. It's either that way or purple hull. It's pink eye, purple hull cowpeas that are planted in this bed to contribute to the blue goose cowpeas over there. There's also okra, and you can see we have little baby pods, we have blooms, big pod that's ready to be harvested. And we also have bell peppers, and if you can see it, a swallowtail butterfly chrysalis, and then If you watched Monday's video down here in the marigolds, there was a swallowtail. I think that one was one that had freshly emerged because it hung out over here for quite a while before it flittered off. So that was really cool. We have more bell peppers. This is Ancho Poblano. That's what this one is, and this one. This one looks terrible, but it is starting to bounce back with some healthy growth. So I am pretty confident that it's gonna be okay, even with as ugly as it is at the moment. Some other things that we have going on besides cow peas, which are starting to bloom. We have a couple of peas there taking shape. A couple more peas there. We have the okra. We also have, what else do we have? Oh, so we have the Thai green noodle beans. You can see there's a couple that are ready to be harvested. We have Hami melon, which there's only one melon that's like a really good size right now, and an ugly squash bug. I'll have to find it later and try to unalive it. Where was I? Oh yeah, so we have one Hami melon that is almost a mature size. It's on that other side. I'll walk around to show you. There's a lot going on down here. The butterfly pea that never really took off much, but maybe it's just gonna randomly start growing now. But let me walk over here to show you the Hami melon. Smart okra. So this is actually the white velvet variety, and it is a little bit fuzzy along the pod, but it's nice and smooth. It doesn't get as woody as some of the other ones because it's not, I don't even think I'm growing one this year, but some of them have like big ribs and they're tougher. These stay nice and tender. This is like a dwarf variety called Baby Bubba or something. Yes, but melon. Ugh. Here we go. So it looks a lot like a cantaloupe, but it's like kind of oblong and pointy on the ends and not round. So we'll see what it tastes like whenever we harvest it, but pretty excited about that. All right, so the sunflowers here are pretty much fizzled out. I will get them cut down, and I had planted more seeds in here, but I guess I didn't keep the soil moist enough or anything because they didn't really germinate. So at this point, I'm just going to get it amended and get it ready for garlic that will go in October. I'm not going to try to get any more sunflowers to grow before it's time to do the garlic. So it'll kind of sit empty, but that's okay. We still have a couple of little beauties here. All right, so this bed is very similar to the other bed. It's looking nice and thick and lush. It just has different varieties of similarly themed crops. So over here, we have the Chinese red noodle bean, which you can see here. This one started producing much later than the green one, so it's sort of hitting its stride right now. There's some that are ready to pick back there, and then instead of Hami melon, this side has Kajari melon. So this is going to be a bit smaller than the other one. I can't remember if it gets much bigger than this, but really excited about that. And then we have a ton of basil, okra. Of course, there's some that are ready to be harvested. And then the peppers that are over here are shishito, which, as you can see, I did not harvest on Monday like I said I was going to. And then we have candy cane chocolate cherry, which also did not harvest like I said that I was going to. I need to come spray down I just hit it with high pressure water to kind of knock it down. That way I can get in here and do what I need to do with the plant. They just keep building it back up, but I do need to get those harvested. Cow peas that are in this bed are the phenomenal variety that I got from Burpee. Whenever they are shelled, they look like the black and white dairy cow. So they're basically a cow pea. So they're really cute. I'll see if I can find a picture of those as well. Okay, over here in the sunflower patch, it is the sunflower patch that almost was. No, okay, So there were some that germinated over here. You can see the lonely straggler stem that is slowly disappearing. These three have had issues with roly-polies and slugs. So I think what happened after they germinated, it was only these two pockets that germinated, those two did not. But after they germinated, I think one of those slugs, roly-polies, what have you, just came and ate all of the leaves. So if there weren't any leaves to kind of absorb the light to turn things into chlorophyll, then the stems just kind of died off. And yeah, so no sunflowers here. I will just get it amended, ready for garlic. And then we do have a few sunflower plants over here that are doing pretty well. So these two are actually looking better than they did Monday. They were looking kind of not great, kind of like this, but they're putting on a bit of height, some new leaves. This sunflower is doing really well. I will try to look up what is planted in these two pockets and try to put their names on the screen here. And then over here, we have 3 pockets worth of sunflowers that germinated. They're putting on healthy leaves. They're putting on height. So we will have a little bit of a sunflower show over here. And same as there, I'll try to put the names of these 3 varieties up on the screen. Onto the flower bed. It probably looks exactly the same as it did on Monday when I was doing my walkthrough. These snapdragons that I've had for a few years are slowly dying off. That's okay. I plan on getting more seeds for these because these were my favorite and I loved them. So I kind of want them in the front and the back, just kind of gracing the garden space. This is a Cherokee Sunset Rudbeckia. The first flower that bloomed on it was kind of deformed. That's this one here. But these two, this one and this one, are really lovely. Sorry, spider, I didn't mean to disturb you there. Snapdragons kind of slowly fizzling off. That's okay. We do have one that's blooming. It's really beautiful. We have some Indian blanket Gaillardia, I believe. Some Sahara Rudbeckia. Some Echinacea here. Cosmos. So there are quite a few things blooming. It is a relatively happy flower bed. It's just not as full as it was in the spring. And that's okay. I'm kind of glad, since I've been sick and I can't take care of anything. I'm kind of glad that it's kind of a low maintenance flower bed at the moment. Calendula, it is starting to kind of get a little bit, it's struggling a bit with the heat. So I'm just gonna let it kind of fizzle out. They're not typically a super summer flower. Here especially, they do really well in the spring and the fall, but not in the summer because it's so hot. All right, the feverfew. This is a volunteer feverfew, probably from seeds that fell off of last year's feverfew, and it is blooming and it is so darling. There's another one here that is about to bloom as well. Persian carpet zinnia. These don't get super tall. Well, I mean, I guess they kind of do, but the flowers are kind of dainty, so they're really cute. More cosmos, snapdragons fizzling out. There are a few milkweed plants in here, so I'm hopeful that I'll get to host some monarchs like I did the swallowtails, but we'll see. Right now they're hosting aphids, but that's okay. Ladybugs will come in and take care of them, or some other predator predator insect. More Sahara Rudbeckia, marigolds, obviously. The Gaillardia patch, the accidental Gaillardia patch, is really doing well. We have double sunset here, and oh my gosh, I can't even remember the name of this one. It's not Indian blanket, that's the other one. Let's see if I can. Okay, maybe it is Indian blanket. Okay, Indian blanket is what it is according to the tag. But doing so well, and the reason why I have gaillardia and echinacea kind of planted in multiple places is because they're a perennial flower, which means they will continue to grow year after year, and I won't have to plant something in their space continuously year over year. I'm trying to get some more perennials throughout here so that one, we have beautiful flowers all year. I mean, not all year, but every year. And then I won't have to start so many flower seeds to fill in the garden. I mean, fill in the flower beds. All right, ginger. The ginger, I am happy to say, is doing so well. Whenever I planted it, I was initially worried there wasn't going to be anything that happened because it did take it forever to sprout. But in that container and in this container, they're both doing quite well. So I'm really happy. So probably December or January, I can harvest the ginger. I will have to store the fabric bags in the garage and, just make sure they get plenty of water and stuff, because they don't like freezing temperatures. So I'll have to do, kind of a good job of keeping them a little bit warmer. Pepper greenstock, I know it doesn't look super great right now, but I promise you it is doing a lot better than it was. The last weekly update, I think, you could kind of see where I needed to fill in these pockets with some soil. I did that. I also fertilized really well with the Neptune's Harvest, and I've been keeping it watered to the best of my ability while I was sick. And there is lots of new growth. We're getting ready to have a ton of blooms. So it's slow progress, but it is progress nonetheless. And part of the reason why the plants look so bad is because the leaf cutter bees really love pepper leaves for some reason, and they just come in and chow down, taking what they need for their home. I don't know what their home is called. I don't think it's like a hive. But obviously some peppers need to be harvested out of here. Another one. A couple more. So we have one dwarf tomato left, and I think the spider mites are getting it. So I'll need to figure out what I'm going to do with that. It's also getting too hot for any fruit to set if it does bloom, so I need to figure out what I can do here. This is a volunteer pepper, and it is a Tabasco pepper. I'm 99% sure, judging by the way these are growing pointing up and the size and the shape. So I'm happy about that, because my other Tabasco plant is not doing so great. It's this one right here. It just hasn't grown much. But everything else is doing pretty well. There have been a couple of hornworms over here, so there is some plant damage from that. But the fertilizer and the extra soil certainly helped bring them back to life a bit. Strawberries, as you can see, they are struggling a bit. I mean, they are putting off new runners, so that's good, but some of the existing leaves are dying off and getting really gross. So I still need to spend time cleaning that up. If there's any runners that can fit into a pocket, I need to, kind of put them in there so they can anchor, add some more soil so the runner isn't having to dig so, grow so far down before it anchors, and probably give this another round of fertilizer. This is the hottest week that we've had so far this summer. So while that is a good thing because it took so long, it's also a bad thing because things like strawberries tend to struggle whenever it is super hot. So in Texas, you can overwinter strawberries really easily, but it's really difficult to oversummer them. So kind of the opposite problem here compared to other regions of the country. So just kind of have to baby them for the next few months until it cools back down. Once we reach September, October, the temperatures regulate more a bit, then these will be a lot easier to kind of keep healthy. But until then, a lot of fertilizer, a lot of watering, and a lot of pruning off the dead icky stuff. All right, lime tree is doing really well. I'm not gonna get any limes this year. I'm perfectly okay with that. I know the reason why, and I know how to fix it for next year. So I'm just keeping it really healthy and alive until next season. In the winter, I will be storing it inside in a different place than it was this year, so hopefully that will solve the no lime problem. Some of these basils are struggling a bit with the high heat, like this guy right here, so I'm actually going to cut this guy down and this one as well, and then kind of keep the rest of these pruned back and see if that might help keep them a little bit healthier. The herb green stalk, it is cranking along. Some of the stuff that looks really bad, it looks really bad from whenever I went to Logan's camp and nobody was here to water. It has kind of bounced back from that. I just haven't gotten rid of the icky stuff from where it did, you know, suffer from that. So I still need to do some pruning, of course, but the living things all look really great. So this is lavender. It's fine if you go without watering it for a little while. And this Kirigami oregano, I think it's an ornamental variety, but it's doing pretty well. We have anise hyssop up here, doing pretty good. And then we have calendula. I need to come harvest some blossoms. This is the Racina variety, so it's the one that has more of the compound that's used for skin ailments like eczema, sunburns, rashes, stuff like that. So I need to put this on my tray with the rest of the calendula blossoms that I have inside. I'll be kind of steeping them in an olive oil so that the kids and I can use it whenever we have any skin issue flare-ups. Not a whole lot is happening on this side of this green stalk. The marshmallow is growing pretty well. Some of it has bloomed, as you can see here, probably dead head. Go ahead and pull these off, these spent blooms. Maybe we'll get another run. So with marshmallow, it is medicinal. I can't remember what for off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that you harvest the roots for the medicinal use, but the flowers are really, really cute too. So let's see if we can get another run of flowers. Tarragon probably looks kind of cruddy due to the heat, but we have rue down at the bottom, and then we have regular hyssop here and here, but those are looking pretty good. So overall, even with the temperatures in the upper 90s, we finally hit triple digits yesterday, I think. Things are looking relatively decent. Now, the longer we spend in those hot temperatures, the more this stuff is gonna suffer. So I'll really need to do a good job making sure that I water well enough. But at the moment, things are doing okay. And one last check-in before we wrap up. So we have these guys that are actually ready to be transplanted out. A couple of trays of basil here. We have some celosia, and then we have some Persian carpet zinnias. Now, I didn't water one day because I was really, really sick the other day, and it got pretty hot and some of the stuff dried out and is not going to pull through. That's okay, I have plenty of stuff in here. And then in this tray, we have some marigolds. We do have a couple of little baby snapdragon sprouts. We have one whole petunia that might grow into something. We have one gaillardia here, and then we have a few echinaceas here. So we'll see what happens. I'm just trying to keep things watered. I just add water to the tray and let it soak it up as it needs it. The sun evaporates quite a bit of that off. That's why it's kind of standing in there. I just want to make sure that they don't get dried out and crunchy again. But that is a look at the garden at the very end of July. The next weekly update will actually be on August 1st. So this is doing quite well for July. I'm very happy with how things are looking, especially since I've been very neglectful of the garden lately. But I can't wait to see as we start getting into fall what else continues to happen out here. All right, but that's all I have for you for this week's weekly update. I'm gonna go inside, get out of the sun, get some water, try to cool down a little bit because it's already a hot one. But if you liked this week's weekly update and you want to continue to see how the garden grows and changes from week to week, please like, subscribe, comment on this video. Otherwise, until next time, go find a way to get those garden manicures. Bye.